On a crisp autumn evening in Chicago, Adeline Blackwood's shoulders ached as she pushed open the door to her apartment. The prestigious Thornfield Architecture Award trophy weighed heavily in her bag. Inside, she was greeted by the familiar scene of her mother and stepsister engrossed in laughter, completely oblivious to her arrival. "Oh, Adeline, you're back," her mother Vivian said without turning around, her voice dripping with indifference. At the table sat her stepsister Emmeline, scrolling through social media on her company laptop. Unlike Adeline's understated appearance, Emmeline radiated with practiced glamour. "Hey," Emmeline said, her eyes never leaving the screen where she was admiring her latest social media post. Adeline hung up her coat and quietly approached the kitchen table. This house had been home since she was 16, after her stepfather died of cancer. Their lives had completely changed after his death. Vivian, once a successful model, now spent her days maintaining appearances while barely working, which was nowhere near enough to support their lifestyle. "Emmeline, how was your presentation at work today?" Adeline asked. "It was amazing. The executives loved my campaign concept." Emmeline finally looked up, her face lighting up with excitement. "And they're considering me for the new social media director position." "That's wonderful," Adeline said genuinely. Vivian wrapped an arm around Emmeline's shoulder, beaming with pride. "My daughter is truly exceptional. Emmeline will definitely become a major influencer. Your father would be so proud." Adeline smiled politely, though pain flickered in her eyes. When her stepfather was alive, she too had spoken of her dreams, finishing architecture school, designing innovative buildings, creating something lasting. But after his death, those dreams seemed impossible. She worked days at a design firm while taking night classes. The family needed financial support. Vivian never objected to Adeline's sacrifice. "Adeline isn't cut out for the spotlight," she often remarked. In truth, Adeline possessed remarkable talent, but her mother refused to see it. For years, Adeline had worked tirelessly, designing by day, studying by night, and secretly investing in properties on weekends. Every penny she could spare went to supporting the household, covering Vivian's extravagant lifestyle and Emmeline's education costs. "Look at this, Adeline." Emmeline squealed, showing her phone. "I'm going to Aspen with friends next weekend. It's to celebrate my possible promotion." Adeline reached into her purse and placed several bills on the table. "Is this enough for the trip?" "Thanks," Emmeline said dismissively, snatching the money without a second glance, as if her stepsister's financial support was simply her due. After escaping the kitchen, Adeline retreated to her bedroom. She retrieved a portfolio from her locked closet and powered up her laptop. These late hours, when the house fell silent, belonged only to her. Adeline had been secretly building an empire. She studied architectural journals, analyzed real estate markets, and mastered investment strategies. 2 years ago, she'd purchased her first property, a rundown apartment building with potential. Initially, it barely covered its own mortgage, but strategic renovations using her architectural expertise transformed it. She meticulously documented each project, growing her portfolio building by building. She never mentioned these investments. Her family would dismiss what they'd call her unrealistic fantasies. 3 months ago, Adeline's investments reached a tipping point. Her innovative renovation of a historic building caught the eye of prominent developers, and opportunities poured in. Her wealth now exceeded her wildest dreams. Last month, she quietly moved into her own luxury condominium without informing her family, not that they noticed her absence. To Vivian and Emmeline, Adeline remained the dutiful daughter, the reliable provider with no ambitions of her own. She kept their interactions brief and superficial. Her phone buzzed. Emmeline's name flashed on the screen. "Adeline, huge news." Her stepsister's voice quivered with excitement. "Callum proposed. He's the Holloway tech executive. The engagement party is next month. You're coming, obviously." Adeline offered warm congratulations. In the background, Vivian squealed, "My daughter is marrying into Silicon Valley royalty." Emmeline rambled about the party details, a 5-star venue, A-list guests, a designer dress. "Adeline, please wear something presentable," Emmeline added curtly. "Try not to look so ordinary." After ending the call, Adeline stood by her floor-to-ceiling windows, surveying the glittering skyline. From her penthouse office, she could see 3 buildings she owned, including the venue for Emmeline's engagement party. On her desk sat her business card, Adeline Blackwood, founder, Blackwood Properties. Her family remained oblivious to her success, and for now, she preferred it that way. She would attend the engagement party and quietly observe. On the evening of Emmeline's engagement party, Adeline entered the Grand Hotel with quiet confidence. She caught her reflection in the mirrored elevator and barely recognized herself. The sophisticated navy dress with architectural elements highlighted her natural elegance. The geometric pattern at the hemline was her own creation. As she stepped into the ballroom, she was struck by the lavish decorations and ambient lighting. The blue and silver theme transformed the space into a modern wonderland. "Adeline, you actually showed up." Vivian approached, draped in a vibrant crimson gown with excessive jewelry gleaming at her neck and wrists. "I wouldn't miss Emmeline's big night," Adeline replied warmly. Vivian assessed her appearance with surprise. "You actually look decent for once." Coming from her, this was high praise. "Have you met the Holloways yet?" Vivian pressed. "Not yet." "Well, hurry over there. Make a good impression and don't embarrass your sister with your ordinariness." Adeline nodded politely. She circulated through the crowd, greeting acquaintances, former colleagues, old neighbors, distant relatives. When asked about her work, she simply said, "I'm involved in property development." After cocktails, the celebration began in earnest. The fiancé, Callum, was a charismatic man with a polished presence who gazed at Emmeline adoringly. Emmeline, in a designer silver dress, embodied the social media star she aspired to become. "Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the toast," announced the host. "First, we'll hear from the bride-to-be's mother, Mrs. Vivian Lancaster." The room quieted as Vivian strutted to the microphone with practiced poise, her smile dazzling. "Thank you all for joining us to celebrate my beautiful daughter Emmeline's engagement," Vivian gushed. "I'm truly blessed to have such a brilliant daughter being welcomed into such a distinguished family." Vivian paused, scanning the room. When she spotted Adeline, her expression shifted subtly. "I should share something amusing," she continued with a conspiratorial tone. "Technically, Emmeline is my only biological daughter." Scattered chuckles rippled through the room. Emboldened, Vivian raised her voice. "Some of you might have met my stepdaughter, Adeline. Where is she?" "Ah, there." Vivian pointed directly at Adeline as a spotlight swung her way, making her stomach clench. "That's my other daughter, though honestly, she's been quite the disappointment," Vivian said with a theatrical laugh. "Never married, no social media presence, just a boring architect, nothing special about her. Quite the contrast to Emmeline, right?" Uncomfortable laughter followed. Several guests exchanged awkward glances. Adeline's cheeks burned, but her expression remained composed. "But tonight belongs to my pride and joy, Emmeline," Vivian continued. Graduate of an elite university, rising corporate star, and soon to be married into tech royalty. She's everything a mother could want. As Vivian lowered the microphone, Emmeline stood and said, "Mom, let me add something." She took the stage, wearing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Everyone, don't mind my mother's little jokes," Emmeline said lightly. "Though Adeline is so serious, she might actually be hurt." More laughter followed. Adeline sat motionless, staring into her champagne. "In fairness, my sister has always supported me," Emmeline continued. "So dedicated. She worked constantly so I could attend the best schools, even sacrificing her own opportunities." Her words sounded grateful, but her tone carried a hint of mockery. "So tonight, I must acknowledge my sister's contribution to my success." Emmeline glanced at Adeline with a complicated expression, a mixture of entitlement and buried shame. Adeline rose slowly from her seat. The room's attention pivoted to her. She walked toward the stage with measured steps, an unexpected confidence in her bearing. Emmeline's smile faltered. She had never seen this side of her stepsister. Adeline had always accommodated, always yielded. As Adeline reached the stage, Emmeline instinctively stepped back. Adeline took the microphone, her face serene yet resolute. The room fell into complete silence. Vivian's expression transformed to one of visible unease. Adeline surveyed the room calmly. Her eyes held no hurt, only clear determination. "Now let's proceed to the genuine celebration," her voice, though soft, carried powerfully throughout the space. She stood perfectly still under the spotlight. The atmosphere had completely shifted, the earlier laughter evaporated into tense silence. Her navy dress, caught in the stage lights, seemed to radiate an inner strength. Vivian reached for her arm, but Adeline deftly sidestepped the attempt. Emmeline watched with an expression mixed with apprehension and reluctant fascination. Adeline spoke with remarkable composure. "Tonight, I am genuinely happy that my sister Emmeline has found someone who values her." Her tone carried no bitterness or mockery. It was an authentic congratulation. Some tension in the room dissipated. Many of you are aware that our family has navigated difficult waters since my stepfather's passing. We've encountered numerous challenges. Adeline inhaled deeply, her gaze momentarily distant, as if reviewing a mental timeline. When I was 16, my stepfather was suddenly taken from us by cancer. Our lives transformed completely overnight. Her voice wavered slightly before steadying. I put architectural school on hold. Some might assume I lacked the aptitude for higher education. My mother certainly believes so. She glanced at Vivian, whose face was flushing crimson. The reality is, I set aside my education to support our family. After my stepfather died, my mother struggled with maintaining our lifestyle, and Emmeline had such promise ahead of her. I was determined she would receive every opportunity. Adeline scanned the room, noting how intently the guests were following her words. I balanced multiple responsibilities, designing at a small firm during days, studying architecture at night, investing every spare moment in property research. I averaged perhaps 5 hours of sleep. She smiled faintly. But I never resented it. Knowing my efforts helped Emmeline attend an excellent university was fulfilling. I also covered my mother's considerable expenses. Vivian had paled considerably. She silently mouthed enough toward Adeline, glancing nervously at the Holloways. As my mother pointed out, I haven't married. I'm not a social media personality. I've never been divorced because I've never prioritized relationships. Adeline chuckled softly, eliciting a few nervous laughs from the audience. Whether that constitutes failure, I'll leave for you to decide. Personally, I take pride in my journey. She paused briefly, taking a small sip of water. I should mention something. This entire engagement celebration tonight, I'm financing it. The room erupted in murmurs. Emmeline stood frozen, her expression stunned. When Emmeline called to announce her engagement, I was genuinely thrilled because I've always wanted her happiness. I wanted to help create the lavish celebration she'd always dreamed about, Adeline continued, her voice steady. You're probably wondering, how could a mere architect afford all this? A slight smile crossed her lips. I began investing in real estate years ago. Initially, it was just one small property, but my portfolio expanded, and now I own buildings leased by Fortune 100 corporations. Gasps of astonishment rippled through the crowd. Some of you may recognize my company, Blackwood Properties. We're known for our innovative architectural renovations and sustainable urban development projects. From across the room, a distinguished man in his 60s rose to his feet, commanding immediate attention. Ms. Adeline Blackwood, the gentleman's authoritative voice carried clearly, you're the founder of Blackwood Properties, featured in last month's Architectural Digest? Adeline acknowledged with a composed nod. That's correct. You must be Zephyr Youngblood. The pleasure is mine. The room buzzed with increased intensity. Zephyr Youngblood, a legendary figure in architectural circles, was widely respected throughout the industry. Your work is remarkable, Zephyr continued. Your urban renewal approach has revolutionized the field. I believe your company's portfolio recently surpassed $120 million in value. Adeline smiled modestly. We're still evolving as a company. The atmosphere had transformed completely. Guests who had regarded Adeline with pity moments earlier now stared with newfound respect and fascination. Vivian had blanched completely, gripping her chair for support. Emmeline remained speechless, visibly processing the revelation. Adeline brought the microphone closer. I'm not here to showcase my achievements. Tonight belongs to Emmeline and Callum. I'm speaking now only to establish one thing, the truth. She drew a deep breath, scanning the entire gathering. I delayed my education to support my family. I worked tirelessly to ensure Emmeline could pursue her dreams. And I kept my success private because... She hesitated momentarily. I was caught between needing recognition and not wanting to disrupt family dynamics. For the first time, Adeline's eyes glistened with emotion, though she maintained her dignified stance. I've always loved my mother and sister, even when they dismissed my potential. I willingly sacrificed my dreams for them because that's what family meant to me. The room fell completely silent. Several guests discreetly wiped away tears. Eventually, I recognized my life deserved investment too. So I carved my own path forward, depending on no one but myself, building something meaningful independently. Adeline paused, gazing directly at Emmeline with genuine warmth. Emmeline, you'll always be my sister. I've consistently wanted nothing but happiness for you. I sincerely congratulate you on your engagement to Callum. She turned toward the fiancé. Callum, I've heard wonderful things about you. Please cherish my sister. Finally, Adeline surveyed the entire room. Friends, this is my story, a story of a supposedly boring architect with no ambition. Yet I regret nothing because every challenge shaped the person before you today. From the back of the room, someone began applauding softly. The sound swelled rapidly until thunderous applause filled the space. As it gradually subsided, an expectant hush descended over the gathering. Adeline set down the microphone, preparing to exit the stage. Suddenly, Vivienne lunged forward and seized her daughter's wrist. "How dare you?" Vivienne's voice quavered with rage. "Why spread such obvious fabrications? Who would possibly believe you've achieved such success?" Her words echoed through the silent room as guests watched the confrontation with uncomfortable fascination. Adeline met her mother's gaze with composed dignity. "Mother, I'm stating facts. Whether you choose to accept them doesn't change reality." Vivienne, refusing to yield, raised her voice further, her face flushing. "I raised you. I know exactly who you are. How could someone like you, so ordinary and unremarkable, possibly own a multi-million-dollar property company?" The room collectively held its breath. Zephyr Youngblood rose again and approached the two women with deliberate steps. "If I may, Mrs. Lancaster," his authoritative voice commanded attention, "what Adeline describes is entirely accurate. My firm collaborates with Blackwood Properties regularly. Her company was recognized among last year's top 5 urban development innovators by Architectural Review." Vivienne stood speechless. Emmeline moved closer, studying her stepsister with conflicted emotions swirling in her expression. "Is it true?" Emmeline asked, barely audible. "You financed this entire party?" Adeline nodded gently. "I simply wanted your special day to be perfect." Tears welled in Emmeline's eyes. "But I..." Her words faltered. "We've always been so awful to you." "Even if I were just an unremarkable architect," Adeline responded softly, "I've always loved our family, Emmeline. I postponed my dreams so yours could flourish. All I've ever wanted was your happiness." Her sincere words resonated throughout the room. Several guests discreetly wiped away tears. "I moved out to rebuild my identity," Adeline continued, emotion filling her voice. "I needed to succeed through my own efforts, independent of anyone else, but..." Her voice wavered slightly. "Tonight revealed how you truly see me." A single tear traced down her cheek. "Yet I harbor no resentment, because we're still family." Vivienne remained frozen, while Emmeline wept openly. A weighty silence enveloped the room. Suddenly, Callum stood and approached his fiancée. He placed a steadying hand on Emmeline's shoulder, speaking quietly yet clearly enough for everyone to hear, "The family you described to me and what I've witnessed tonight are entirely incompatible." Emmeline looked up at him, panic evident in her expression. "Callum, please." "Not now," Callum gently silenced her. He turned toward Adeline and inclined his head respectfully. "Miss Blackwood, you exemplify genuine strength and compassion. I'm embarrassed I didn't know your true character until today." Emmeline's face drained of color. Her voice trembled as she pleaded, "Callum, about us." "We'll discuss this privately," Callum replied coolly, disappointment evident in his gaze. Adeline, sensing the escalating tension, reclaimed the microphone. "Everyone, this evening isn't meant for sadness," she offered gently. "Tonight celebrates Emmeline and Callum's future. Let's honor their journey together." She raised her champagne flute. "To Emmeline and Callum's happiness." The room responded with respectful applause. Unlike the earlier laughter, this was filled with genuine admiration. Emmeline's face burned with shame and regret, her gaze fixed on the floor. Throughout the remainder of the evening, Vivienne remained isolated in a corner, uncharacteristically silent. Humiliation was etched across her features. The carefully crafted facade of family perfection she had maintained for years lay shattered. Emmeline stood beside Callum, though the distance between them was palpable. Despite his outward politeness, his eyes held unmistakable coolness when looking at his fiancée. Adeline found herself surrounded by curious guests, seeking business advice, inquiring about her professional journey, and marveling at her extraordinary forbearance. She responded to each question with gracious modesty. "Your formula for success?" Adeline smiled thoughtfully at Zephyr's inquiry. "Integrity, perseverance, and perhaps a measure of good fortune." "Fortune favors the prepared," Zephyr countered. "Your vision and dedication created these opportunities." As the celebration wound down, Adeline sat alone in a quiet corner, processing the evening's events, her emotions swirling in complex patterns. "Adeline." She turned to find Emmeline standing there, eyes swollen from tears. "Did you want to speak with me?" Adeline asked gently. Emmeline struggled visibly to find words. Finally, almost whispering, she said, "I'm so sorry." Adeline regarded her stepsister steadily. "Emmeline, I don't need your apology." "But I need to give it," Emmeline insisted, tears streaming down her face. "I've been insufferable. I never acknowledged everything you sacrificed for our family." Adeline rose slowly and took her stepsister's hand. "What's done is done. It's what comes next that truly matters." The two embraced tightly, holding each other for several moments. Beyond the windows, the autumn sunset cast golden light across Chicago's skyline. It was a season of transformation. 6 months had passed since the engagement party. From Adeline's corner office, Chicago's urban landscape stretched before her. Blackwood Properties had expanded significantly, emerging as an industry innovator in sustainable urban development. She sipped her coffee thoughtfully while reviewing plans spread across her desk, a proposal for mentoring programs supporting aspiring architects from underrepresented communities. Adeline was determined to use her success to create pathways for talented individuals facing economic barriers. "Ms. Blackwood, your 2:30 appointment is here," her assistant announced. Adeline looked up with a smile. "Thank you. Please send them in." She stood by the windows, gazing at the city she was helping reshape. These past months had brought profound changes. Her relationship with Vivian had briefly improved following the engagement party. Her mother had offered halting apologies and made overtures toward reconciliation. The goodwill proved short-lived. Within weeks, Vivian began requesting financial assistance. Initially modest sums escalated into increasingly extravagant demands. When Adeline established clear boundaries and declined further support, Vivian's familiar coldness returned promptly. Now Vivian found herself increasingly marginalized within her social circles. Her carefully cultivated status had evaporated, replaced with barely concealed resentment toward her daughter's achievements. At social gatherings, she occasionally muttered, "She's practically a stranger to me," though nobody took such claims seriously anymore. Meanwhile, Emmeline and Callum's engagement had collapsed. The revelations at the party had created irreparable fractures in their relationship. Callum, confronted with his fiancée's true character, couldn't reconcile himself with her materialistic values and superficiality. Emmeline struggled desperately to salvage the relationship, but years of cultivating a perfect social media persona had left her authentic self buried too deeply. They had officially ended their engagement last month. Adeline's reflections were interrupted by her office door opening. She turned to find an unexpected visitor, Emmeline. Her stepsister appeared noticeably thinner, with shadows beneath her eyes, yet there was a new authenticity in her expression. "Do you have a moment?" Emmeline asked hesitantly. Adeline welcomed her warmly. Emmeline glanced around the impressive office with quiet appreciation before facing her stepsister directly. "Callum and I have officially broken up," she said softly. Adeline squeezed her hand in silent support. "It's for the best, though," Emmeline continued thoughtfully. "I needed this wake-up call to examine who I've become and why." For the first time, genuine remorse filled her voice. "I finally comprehend the magnitude of your sacrifices for us. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I understand now." Tears welled in Adeline's eyes. She stood and embraced her stepsister tightly. "Emmeline, it's never too late to build something authentic between us." The two held each other for a long moment. Through the windows, spring sunlight transformed Chicago's architecture into gleaming possibilities. It was a season for new foundations.